Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the OS World Cup 2024. We've got a pretty spicy matchup for you here today. It's going to be Sweden at seed number 15 going up against Indonesia at seed 18. Now, I would go ahead and say, at least for me, before this weekend started, this was probably the most hyped matchup in my books. I mean, it was between this one and Romania-Brazil, and I mean, for this one, probably the one I was most looking forward to, so I'm thrilled to be here to cast it for you all. I'm Mabs, and joining me, of course, is going to be none other than my Australian duo. It's Vordy. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great, Mavs. Thank you. And I do agree. I think this is like a top 3 matchup easily for me this weekend. Brazil, Romania, as you mentioned, Sweden, Indo, and France, Turkey later on today. But this is such a tough one to decide. You know, who do you think is going to come out on top? You have Sweden, seed 15th. Really solid, I would say, really good early stage team. Late stage, they might start having some issues, but early stage, you have players, you know, like a carry player like Skilla, who got, I think, top 30th on performance score in qualifiers, and it's a really, really good roster backing him up. And Indonesia, on the other hand, a little bit of a step down from the 23 results. I believe they got, let's see, 9th last year. So to see them at 18th, I think is a bit unexpected for a lot of people. And you see some of the names here, Lifeline, obviously, just plenty of super high skill cap players. But, you know, potentially, does that mean they just had an unlucky run at quals, or are they going to come out big swinging today?
Yeah, I mean, for Indonesia, of course, that qualifier, you know, going down on the qualifier performance, they did lose two pretty big players from last year. It was Skydiver and Ro are actually gone from this Indonesian roster. And, I mean, they're two pretty big names to lose. Skydiver especially, kind of everyone knows Skydiver. Pretty damn good player for a very long time now. And they're having Stixay and Fuma come in. Also very good players in their own right. Fuma, been around for a very long time. You know, if you don't know Fuma, you know, he's just like a low AR sort of player. Mainly plays like low AR gimmicky stuff. So, you know, they've got some fills coming in for Skydiver and Ro, but it's definitely some big names to lose. And for Sweden, of course, Silla, like you said, coming in at 28th, I believe, overall on the qualifiers performances. So doing really, really well. And I would say probably for this Swedish roster, looking like it was a bit more of a slight carry performance from Silla out of those qualifiers in comparison to Indonesia. Indonesia kind of putting up, I'd say, maybe some more solid 4-man rosters for some of the maps, but Silla kind of popping off for Sweden and possibly getting them this 15th seed.
Yeah, I think I would agree that Indonesia a little bit more well-rounded on their 4-mans in the qualies. I think, Silla, as you mentioned, playing really, really well. The notable difference, I think, on their tapping rosters, they had some other carries. I think notably Trumpetino kind of coming in as a tapping specialist. Yagiko as well, playing those really well. I think one thing I'm interested to see, so they also have Andros, who I think played uncharacteristically. You know, Easy's one of, you know, super high ranking player, has plenty of extremely impressive tapping scores. So I expect him to play better on the tapping today. And if that's the case, then their, you know, DT2 no mod 2 is going to be fantastic. And considering Indonesia had a pretty weak DT2 performance overall, I really think they should likely just ban that map out, because it leaves no mod 2 as a tapping map, and that's a lot burstier. I think it's going to be something Indonesia's a lot more comfortable on. So that's a ban I expect to see from Indo, but Sweden maybe banning aim instead.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, Indonesia having a bit of a tough time on that DT2 in qualifiers. Doing quite well on the DT3, however, but Sweden on both the maps still outperforming Indonesia quite considerably, especially on that DT2. So looking like I think Sweden is going to be leaning more into this DT in this match, and probably into this hard rock as well, looking pretty favored on the hard rock overall in comparison to Indonesia. And I think Indonesia probably going to be looking at things like the low AR and possibly the hiddens, I would say. Sweden not performing too well on those hidden maps out of the qualifiers, so we'll have to see. Also, aim is also a very good skill set for Indo, just in general. I think it always kind of has been, so it definitely makes sense. But we're going to be seeing the bans come out already, and it's going to be Sweden getting rid of that hidden too. So yeah, as I said, Indonesia probably would have been looking at that low AR, would have been a pretty good pick for them, but it's going to be banned out from Sweden straight away.
Yeah, hidden, one of the strengths for Indo. in qualies. Indonesia outperforming Sweden on both of their runs, getting 17th and 22nd respectively. Sweden, their best run being 32nd, so pretty good ban. Interested to see Indo banning out the Hard Rock 2. I mean, the Hard Rock 2 ban itself, as you mentioned, Sweden likely wanting to pick into Hard Rock. It is a good mod of theirs. But, you know, Precision is just something I can imagine is a lot more winnable even if you're behind in the skill set. But DT2 left open. I think that implies Indonesia believes they're going to be a lot better on this DT2 than Quals, but unsurprisingly, Sweden instantly picking it. I think they're likely a bit surprised to see it left open, but they should be feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, I think the only thing I can maybe sort of guess from leaving that DT open is, you know, Indonesia, they did pretty well on like the other sort of tapping oriented maps out of the qualifiers, at least some of the speed and the streams. And they had some rough runs on that DT2, but perhaps it was just one of those maps for them where, you know, your Rust is just not comfortable on it. Maybe it's a weird map for your team, or maybe the map was just too hard in qualifiers. Remember, this is round of 32, of course, so coming down quite a few pegs from the qualifier difficulty, and perhaps this one still within their range. It's going to be Senya Satellite, of course. Everyone knows this type of map is just going to be stamina and nothing but stamina at 228 BPM, I believe. So we'll have to see. Indonesia, like I said, doing okay on some of the other tapping and qualifiers, so perhaps they're going to be feeling okay on this one.
Yeah, they have Mindfrost ID coming in to replace Haku Kiori as the 4th slot, so we'll see if that makes a beneficial difference for them. Meanwhile, Sweden running a slightly different roster. They have Yagako Trumpetino as the 2 best performers last time. Andros coming in as well. Likely expect to see them play this one even better than last time. Melwem actually coming in over Scylla, but Melwem did, you know, play the DT3 very well, so likely good at the skill set as well. Sweden's first pick. Very, very close matchup, so they really, really want to win this one.
Yeah, Scylla, I think these DT sort of speedier tapping picks probably just not going to be too comfortable on these. Stepping out for the team, probably the best player out of the qualifiers, so we'll have to see how the rest of the team can hold up for him. Early on here, no struggles, and on a map like this, it's very apparent very early on who's going to be having a hard time, but seems like so far everyone seems to be managing quite comfortably. Yagako struggling a little bit on the accuracy, but might just be getting warmed up into the map, getting used to the BPM. But everyone else still holding on.
As you mentioned, sometimes it can be very evident if somebody's uncomfortable early on, but so far, so good for both of these teams. Nobody below that 96% act threshold. We'll have to see as the map drags on if anybody starts wearing down their fingers, but right now we have an 8-way on our hands. Unfortunately, Stixay going to be the first to break for Indonesia. That's going to give an opening for Sweden to start building up some score lead.
Yeah, drop from Stixay is going to be huge for Sweden now to get some headway into this match, to take their first pick home here. Make it 1-0. Do not want to be losing your first pick of the match for what is probably one of Sweden's best picks in this pool, period. So holding onto this 4-way, nice and comfortably. Yagako making a recovery on that accuracy. Everyone else still holding on around that 98-99 mark. No one dropping on these streams, and Stixay starting to make a recovery too. Still 7 FCs intact, Woody, in the second half of this map. Someone's gonna have to drop here soon, but no one. There it is, Lifeline. He's the one to miss, not the player you would expect to drop Indonesia. He's down, and that's the second one to drop Indonesia. Sweden still holding onto this 4-way.
Unfortunately, Lifeline over-tapping that stream. Maybe just too used to playing 300 BPM streams in solo. Stixay going to break again, losing that recovery, so now it's just Fuma and Mindfrost ID on the full combos. Mindfrost ID on excellent accuracy, 99%, but Trumpetino is right there on 99% as well. And Andros, Yagako, Melon all holding. Sweden is just looking so good on this DT2 right now.
Yeah, this is incredible. Still a 4-way intact from the 15th seed in this tournament. Would be incredible to see a 4-way from, you know, any team really outside of the top 8 in round of 32. So they are popping off, but I've immediately cursed them as Andros misses. I've done that twice this OWC already. I just need to stop, but Andros does find the break. 3 FCs still intact for Sweden, and Indonesia, Mindfrost and Fuma doing their best. Fuma Not someone that you might expect to be able to play maps like this, but actually playing the Hiddens and the DT Stamina map in the qualifiers. Comes in for this DT2 and is popping off on it as well. 97.5% FC, but it is 3 FCs still for Sweden and no time left for Indonesia to make a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, Fuma, I think the difference from the qualies to now is massive. I think Fuma was getting like 200 Ks on the DT2 qualies. Now on the route for an FC, really good performance from Fuma and Mindfrost ID for Indo, but it's going to be Sweden with just a phenomenal 4.2 million scoreline, 3 FCs, just one break from Andros, but that's going to be a great way to start the match off for them.
Yeah, two of their tapping players, as you mentioned, Yagako and Trumpetino, who were performing very well on those tapping maps in the qualifiers, coming in here for the first map of the tournament and popping off on this DT2. So there it is, 3 FCs for Sweden. Melwim as well, putting up a phenomenal score on that 99%. But shoutouts to Fuma and Mindfrost as well for also the very, very good scores. Just the 4-man was there for Sweden, and they're going to kick things off with a 1-0, taking their first pick, and now Indonesia with a chance to answer back.
I mean, as Indonesia, I don't think you have to be too worried about that loss. It's, I think, easily Sweden's best pick. It's their most decisive pick in this matchup. If they want to pick No Mod 2, which is the other tapping heavy map, I think it's going to be a lot more in Indo's wheelhouse as it's less stamina intensive and more bursty. That's going to be something they should be a lot more comfortable on. Indonesia though, what do they pick into here? We talked about the hidden, maybe they want to go hidden 1. We talked about aim as something they're really good on. I think they won the head-to-head on No Mod 1 and qualies both times on both of their runs, so both maps, No Mod 1, Hard Rock 1, maybe even DT1, but the tapping elements might favor Sweden. Let's see what they go for.
Yeah, Indonesia also winning on the head-to-head on that DT1, so it is an option, but like you said, it's got elements for Sweden that are going to favor them, and elements for Indonesia that's going to favor them, so is kind of a scary pick to go in for, especially in an early stage like this where pretty much everyone's going to be comfortable on it, and it really can just come down to nerve control sometimes. But we'll see where they're going to go. I'm thinking this hidden 1 is probably looking likely.
Other than the hidden 1 and the aim, yeah, I was thinking free mod. So
free mods.
Obviously, based on the hidden 2 ban, Indo is clearly good at density, right? So that free mod 1, which is an AR9 225 BPM map, the density there should be comfortable for Indonesia. Free mod 2 as well, maybe later on if they want to lean into the low AR high precision skill set. But this free mod 1, should be pretty good for them. It's going to be a case to see who wants to play the hard rock. I imagine it's going to be Lifeline.
Yeah, I think you would think so. This is definitely the free mod where Hard Rock is going to be for sure the harder mod. I would say for free mod 3, it's probably, hidden, but in the case of free mod 1 here, Hard Rock going to be the harder mod, so like you said, I think probably a very good pick. Sweden's going to have to play with multiple no mods hidden, so they're going to be forced into this AR9, like you said, and Indonesia looking like the more comfortable team on low AR, on density in general, just out of the qualifiers. So Sweden, are they going to want to overmod Hard Rock on a map like this? I don't think so. So kind of forcing them into this AR9, definitely a good angle here for Indonesia.
Yeah, I think it's likely going to be Scylla for sure to take the hidden. Scylla, the standout performer on the hiddens for Sweden. I think top scoring for the team on all 4 runs. Now, it is a case to say I can definitely imagine comfort overmodding this on Hard Rock if you just feel better on the AR10 and that makes up for the increased mechanics, especially because this map is it spikes very hard at the end. So if you feel like the Hard Rock is going to lower your chances at missing in the middle and you just get to the end, get like 700, 800k, might be enough. But it is just going to be a double hidden? Huh.
Wow.
Okay. And Indo.
That's very interesting.
Indo with a double hidden Hard Rock and a hidden Hard Rock. They are overmodding this so hard.
Okay, the double hidden from Sweden caught me off guard for sure. The double hidden from Indonesia, now that's something I could imagine them doing, absolutely. But also the double Hard Rock on top of that. That's definitely unexpected. Huge overmods here from Indonesia. We'll have to see if it comes back to bite them. But Sweden as well with the 2 hiddens on the board. We'll have to see if that pans out for them. Not to, not going to be concerned with someone like Scylla on hidden, that's for sure. Lightning Fox, we'll have to wait and see how he handles it. But it's going to be Melwim on that Hard Rock, performing very well on the Hard Rocks for them actually in qualifiers, so
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It always surprises me when people overmod the hidden on a map like this, just because it likely indicates that's genuinely their comfortable mod. And I'm always jealous. More comfortable on an AR9 225A map on hidden with some space triples at the end than their mod.
Yeah.
But maybe it's them also wanting to compete with the overmod. Mindfrost ID losing that hidden Hard Rock FC. It's a big multiplier to lose. But they still have that three-way SS from Lifeline, Rosemi, Lovelock, and Dido.
Yeah, hidden Hard Rock down. So Mindfrost with that huge overmod not paying off early on in this map, but this one's pretty long, almost 4 minutes long in this one. And Indonesia still holding this triple SS as we move into this first Ki. Here we go. Sweden holding onto this four-way still. Hard Rock FC intact on Melwem as well. Gotta pay attention to these modded players. This Trumpetino, if he does lose the combo, is of course gonna hurt, but gonna be the one you want to miss if you are Sweden. But it is gonna be Melwem actually, the Hard Rock player to lose a combo for Sweden here. So 3 FCs to 3 as Mindfrost starts to build the recovery on that hidden Hard Rock, and because of that extra mod, it's definitely gonna be an advantage for Indonesia here as we move into the second half.
Yeah, that is currently the thing swaying the score lead back to Indo as well. The recovery from Mindfrost. Melwem finding another break in the middle. It's a bit unfortunate. On a map this close right now, getting that recovery will be super important into the ending. But still, 3 ways either side will likely be dictated by who drops next.
Yeah, and here we go. So we move into the second Ki. This is the kind of map that kind of gets progressively more difficult as it goes, especially in the final quarter. So keep an eye out for misses here very, very soon as everyone continues to hold on through this second Ki. But it's looking a little bit scary here, Morty. Surely any moment, someone's going to have to miss. Multiple SSs still intact on the board here. And there it is, Lightning Fox is going to be the one to drop for Sweden, and that's not what they wanted. They were already at a deficit, and now Indonesia going to run away with this one with 3 FCs and the huge hidden Hard Rock recovery from Mindfrost. But like I said, the difficulty in this last quarter of the map is definitely going to peak.
Lifeline breaks, Dido goes!
Oh my god.
I was about to say this should be in the bag for Indo, barring a collapse at the ending. Trumpetino, though, does trade. That's another full combo gone. It's just Scylla left as a full combo. A full reset from Indonesia. Is there enough time for Sweden? No, Scylla breaks.
No combos left remaining on the board here. Scylla with the final one drops it. The ending of this map, the diff spike is just kind of ridiculous. Unfortunately for Sweden, there was a chance presented to them. Indonesia gave it to them, but it wasn't to be. Ending of the map just a bit too diff spiky for anyone in this lobby to hold on. And that's going to be a 200,000 point victory for Indonesia, 1-1 now. And that's how you want the match to kick off if you're hoping for a close one. And I think everyone's probably expecting a close one.
Sure. The chance presented there you mentioned is for Sweden to 4-way the hardest part of the map. A tough chance to take capital on, but Indonesia opening up the match with a win of their own. Obviously less decisive than the DT2 win from Sweden, but other than that double time 2, I think every pick here is going to be pretty close. All of these maps are going to be hard fought. I don't think there's anything left. Even the Nomad 2 I think is going to be a lot closer than the double time 2. So yeah, the team's going to have to fight for these wins, and hopefully we get a long one.
And shoutouts as well. I think it was 3 100s for Scylla on that. 2 100s from both Rosemi, Lovelock and Dido. So pretty incredible accuracies for such a long map. Definitely a lot of consistency needed. But I'm going to be moving into Sweden's pick again here now. And I'm wondering, are they going to opt for some more tapping? Something like this No Mod 2, as you were mentioning, is definitely open for them. There is something like the DT3, although I'm scared of that. I think being the superior tapping team doesn't necessarily mean you should pick this DT3. It is a 2011 map. So, yeah.
DT3 is a very mixed skill set map, and they go for the No Mod 2, unsurprisingly. They want to pick all the tapping left to start the match strong. DT3, as you mentioned, is a mix of reading and tapping, and like aim control and density, and those density elements I think might favor Indonesia, but Here we go, 244 BPM, so a bit higher BPM, a lot less on the stamina though, and a bit more focused on aim as well. There's a decent amount of aim here. So although I do think this is Sweden favored, I think Indonesia will have a much better time on this one than the DT2, and so Sweden has to make sure they perform here.
Yeah, of course, if you're unfamiliar with this week's pool, No Mod 2, it is not a stream map, not the traditional stream map you would expect to see in No Mod 2. This is very much a speed map, and it's got a lot of quints and a lot of triples repeated throughout the whole thing. If you're familiar with the types of maps that used to be put in No Mod 5 slots a couple years ago, this is basically that. So getting our speed No Mod in here, and like I said, so many 5-note bursts, so many triples. Have to see who can hold on through these patterns. Stamina can start to wear on something like this just from the repeated bursts, but it's going to be more of a speed test, definitely on that 244 BPM.
Yeah, for sure. I do think there's some longer stamina checks towards the end especially, but a couple places where the map breaks and gives you some time to collect your stamina back. And certainly, make sure you don't lose track of the aim here. I can definitely imagine tapping players just considering this an aim map. If you're really good at tapping, then maps like this get reduced down to just not missing.
Yeah, absolutely. But here we go. We're going to be loading into the second pick from Sweden here. Trumpetino and Yagiko back in, two of the tapping players for Sweden here, performing very well on that DT2, joined by Andros and Melwam. So Sweden looking like they're going to have a strong roster going up against Stixxay, Lifeline, Kaku Kiori, and Fuma, who also a couple of these players performing very, very well on that DT2. So we'll have to see what can be done for Indonesia. Can they get an early break point, or is Sweden going to make things an expected 2-1 early on? No one with really any struggles. Many SS is still on the board, but there's a drop from Lifeline actually. Uncharacteristic yet again from Lifeline to drop early, but it is very early days, so time to adjust.
Yeah, bit of a similar story to DT2 right now. Lifeline with an early break. I believe it was Stixxay as well. He found a miss on the DT2, but Fuma and Mindfrost ID were the ones to get those FCs. We see Haku Kiori stepping in for Mindfrost, which is an interesting decision. So far, Sweden looking pretty good. Accuracies all phenomenal, all above 99%. But similar for Indo, I think all of the players a lot more comfortable tapping this one than the DT2.
Yeah, and I think we've already seen at least 2 SSs on this map. It could have even been more. So curious to see if anyone can replicate that, but so far there's only one player who could, and he's just immediately lost the SS. But we still had a whole half of the map remaining, so perhaps I cursed him a little early. Fuma actually going to be finding a drop there for Indonesia, and that one is going to be huge as Sweden move in to the second half of this map with the 4-way. And it's already looking like happy days for them on the tapping. 4-way still intact, and Indonesia finding a couple struggles. Lifeline is making a recovery, but it doesn't matter when Sweden has 4 FCs.
Sweden has just been looking so comfortable on these tapping maps. And right now, Indonesia's not too far behind. If Sweden collapses, they can take this back, but I don't know if Sweden feels like doing that. Yagiko is going to break, so that leaves 3 FCs up against 2 FCs and a really good recovery. But still, almost 400k score in the lead. They have a big cushion to fall on. Anything goes wrong at the ending here.
Just no time. Just no time for Indonesia for it to matter. 3 FCs and a strong finish for Sweden. Yagiko the only one to miss, as the rest of the Swedish roster hold on. That is a very good team score from Sweden. Almost 3.7 million on a no-mod map is incredible. And considering, the fact that the max score on this map is 4 million flat, that's very, very well done from Sweden. Indonesia as well. Incredible score, 3.2 million, but just cannot hold a candle to the Swedish roster here. Very well done from Andros, Melwam, and Trumpetino. Yagiko as well, just with the slider break. So it was a great pick yet again, and now it's going to be up to Indonesia to answer back, and they definitely have a few options.
Yeah, and that pick was a lot closer for Indonesia than the DT2 as mentioned, but I think at this point we've entered into the stage of the match where it's going to be a lot of basically just close picks, I think. And Indonesia looked pretty good on the aim in qualifiers. Now, this No Mod 1 is a bit interesting. It's obviously mostly an aim map, but it has elements of tech. It has a lot of slider aim, which sometimes you might be a lot more comfortable aiming just normal notes than these kind of slider notes, but they actually go for the No Mod 3. They opt for the alty, techy-ish map of the pool, a bit of a mix of those two skill sets.
Yeah, kind of a bit of a flow aimy ulti map with elements of slider aim in here as well. Definitely not just the ult that you can miss on. Some of this slider aim gets pretty wide in terms of transitioning from one slider to the next, and also some of the weird angles of some of the sliders as well later on the map can be missable. And for almost 4 minutes long, tend to know how No Mod 3s can go. Very consistently difficult ult maps like this. So lots of consistency required to get through a map like this, which, if you know anything about OWC nerves, can be a bit of a tall task, especially for the newer players. But rosters set in the lobby here for Indonesia. Mindfrost, Dido, Kiori, and that noob guy coming in.
I do completely agree with the nerves thing. I think sometimes when you get nervous, especially OWC stage, you can kind of lock up your range of motion reduces. And with some of these really wide angles on some of these sliders where you have to adjust quite a large portion of the playfield, I can definitely imagine this to be a map where you get some silly misses on if you're nervous. But Indonesia is just generally a country I expect to see play these ult maps so well. And we see Mindfrost, ID, Dido, Haku Kiori, and that noob guy. For the map for Sweden, we have Scylla. Should be super comfortable on this Lightning Fox, Andros, and Trumpetino as well.
Yeah, actually seeing Trumpetino in here for the No Mod 3, I believe performing quite well on the tapping in the qualifiers, but there was another map that is escaping me right now that he filled in for that wasn't tapping and did not perform very well in those quals. So could possibly be a case here of not having a full confident 4 on a map like this, but we'll have to see if Trumpetino here can prove me wrong on the No Mod 3. Indonesia, on the other hand, they're always going to have a solid roster for No Mod 3s. I think Indonesia has always been known as a country that's very good on ult maps, very good on these sort of No Mod 3 styles, so we'll see if we get any early drops, but so far, everyone holding on, the 8-way intact.
Yeah, I mean, Sweden as well, notably getting actually a really good score on both the ult and the tech maps and qualities, getting 9th overall on both of them. And since this map is a bit of an amalgamation of those two skill sets, on paper they should be pretty good here. But so far, no breaks, quarter of the map.
Yeah, no breaks, which is surprising as we are into the first Ki already. The map has definitely started. And you can see in some of the slider aim, the adjustments required and some of this high SV, it's definitely missable. And there it is, Haku Kiori is going to be the first to falter. 3FC still intact though for Indo, but Sweden actually maintain a 4-way out of that first Ki, which is pretty damn impressive.
It is really big for them. It is Indonesia's pick, and still early on into the match with a lot of the pool open. They really want to make sure they win this one, but they'll have to do some work. They need to see a miss from somebody on Sweden to match Haku Kiori.
Yeah, very long map though, almost 4 minutes long like I said, so approaching that halfway point, lots of time and lots of room for Indonesia to make a comeback. It is only a 50k lead for Sweden. There's no way, I can't see a 4-way on this map being possible, so we'll have to see when the miss comes, and that's what's going to matter the most. Everyone holds on, and here we go. This is where it's going to pick up.
I can feel the nerves on behalf of the players here at this point. In a map like this, it's not too hard, the spacing isn't too crazy, it is below that 6-star mark, but it's just so easy to find a break on any of these patterns. Andros and Trumpetino going to find them, that's 2 breaks. Scylla
oh my God.
Well. It's just Lightning Fox for Sweden, and now Indonesia is going to take this lead back in flying colors here at this last quarter. The ball is in their court.
Sweden with an absolute collapse. Trumpetino, Andros, Scylla all missing. It's just Lightning Fox. And I don't think Lightning's going to strike twice here today for him. It's probably just going to be the 1 FC for Sweden if he can continue to hold, but it doesn't matter because Indonesia's got 3 intact and Haku Kiori has got a huge recovery. He's almost at 1k combo. It's already out of reach for the Swedes. I think that's it. Indonesia. Wow.
Man. The nerves of steel from Indonesia to keep their composure at their ending section, finding no misses. And now 400k in the lead. Hakuhyori does miss right after the break, but it doesn't matter. Indonesia should have this pick in the bag.
Oh, that noob guy as well dropping. I think this is that noob guy's first map, if I recall correctly. Oh, also Mindfrost going out as well. So, bunch of combos dropping here at the ending for Indonesia. Lightning Fox as well loses the FC. It's just Dido remaining. Actually, out of the end of that map, we had 7 FCs intact at about the 60-70% point in this map. And Dido is the lone soldier to make it through. to make it through behind enemy lines here. Gets the sole FC, 99% FC from Dido. And actually, their best performer out of qualifiers as well. Dido for Indonesia, 65th overall. Comes in here on this No Mod 3, puts up a great FC for them. And Indo take their second pick.
Yeah, really, really well done from Indonesia. They had the comfort advantage. They held their composure, and Sweden just falling apart at the ending. But not phased. It's 2-2. As expected for a matchup this close in skill. And Scylla is going to pick DT1, another map that is going to be super, super comfortable for Sweden. I mean, I've seen Sweden pop off on DT1 at, like, not even just for WC, but even, 3WC, 4WC. They're very, very good at the skill set. It is also, just because of the nature of the map, something Indonesia should be pretty good on as well. So obviously a risky pick, but I mean, what pick isn't risky in this matchup?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the riskiest pick we've seen so far. I think, honestly, every map so far has been like it's been favored to one side or the other. And I think here is kind of our real coin flip, so to speak. Indonesia did win in the head-to-head in DT1 in qualifiers, so Indonesia, they're probably not going to falter on a DT1 like this, but Sweden, of course, they're still going to be very good on this. They've been picking, like, speedy tapping maps this match. This DT1, it's also got elements, like some elements of tapping in it as well, with some of the bursts, mixed amongst the aim. So we'll see. It's kind of one of those maps again where it's like, Indonesia, I think, is maybe favored slightly on the aim, but then Sweden's going to be more comfortable, possibly with the BPM and some of the tapping parts. So we'll see what happens, but very close map, I would say.
I mean, for sure, yeah. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, Indonesia beat Sweden on the head-to-head on DT1 both times, and by a pretty good margin as well. I mean, Indo getting almost 2.9 million on one of their DT1 runs, Sweden getting 2.2 million on their best run. So I do think that pure aim DT, Indonesia has Sweden beat, but this is a lot lower BPM, a lot more comfortable. If you're like a single tap preference player, this is going to be a lot more doable than the DT1 and quals. And the tapping elements for the roster of Sweden is going to prove no issues. I mean, we have the exact same roster as the tapping maps. So, yeah, but still, regardless, this is going to be a much closer one. This is going to be something in the field of comfort for both teams here.
And I love to see Trumpetino stepping in here for Sweden, actually not playing the DT1 in qualifiers, but as we were saying, this has got a couple more elements of, some bursty patterns in here. Trumpetino's been playing very well this match on these tapping maps. So coming in alongside Yagako, Melwem, and Andros, going up against a solid roster from Indonesia as well, with Rosemi Lovelock, Lifeline, Haku Kiori, and Mindfrost. So we'll see what can be done, but 2 very solid 4-mans for this DT1, and I think from seed 15 and 18, you would expect 2 solid 4-mans on a map like this.
Yeah, I mean, this skill set is one of the most played skill sets in the entire game. It's something people are comfortable in solo. AR10, so even if you're not a big fan of 10.3, it's not going to be an issue here. Relatively comfortable OD, comfortable BPM. This is something you should find most teams in the tournament to have a good 4-man for, especially the seeding as well.
The map slowly building up as we will approach this first Ki very shortly. No one faltering in the intro, which is always great to see. All the nerves still intact here, and everyone's going to be feeling the nerves. No one's dropped the early miss. No early miss tactics, no early miss shenanigans happening to remove nerves. But Lifeline is going to be the first to drop at that 500 combo mark, a third way through the map, finding a lot of early misses this match, but has been recovering very nicely in the second half of these maps. So we'll see if he can do the same thing here. But Sweden,
Match
four-way
by
intact, but there's
Andros.
Andros actually finds the drop. Two very good players in this lobby right now, actually finding the only misses.
Is that like the two highest ranked players in the lobby who are really, really good at DT missing on the DT one first? That is
I think so.
that is insane. Another break from Andros as well, doing a bit of curse smoke. Yagako breaking.
Oh.
That's now Sweden down an FC in the head-to-head. It's going to give the lead to Indonesia, and this is so far the first pick that is leaning towards a breakpoint here.
Yeah, big miss from Yagako. Lifeline making that recovery. Three-way still intact for Indonesia. There goes Haku Kiori, and Trumpetino's there to trade it. That's definitely going to favor Indonesia as Andros finds another break. Indonesia going strong with this 200k lead. I just don't think there's really any combo to speak of on Sweden. It's only Melwem with the FC, but there's only 1/4 of the map remaining, and I think it's going to have to be a collapse from Indonesia. We're going to have to see Rosemi and Mindfrost find misses here, I think.
I mean, for sure, and it has to happen soon if Sweden wants a chance of taking this. Andros finding a couple more breaks, not being able to build up that recovery here, and Sweden just doesn't have much time left. Yagako missing as well. That's not going to help their case, and this is looking like the first breakpoint of the match, the first opening for Indonesia. Start taking charge here. Mindfrost ID does break, but it's still Rosemi Lovelock on the full combo. 500k score in the lead. This should just be it here.
Yeah, I think that's going to seal it up. 500k lead, no map remaining. Rosemi Lovelock was going to bring home the Seoul FC, but no, it's actually Melwem. Brings home the only FC in the lobby there on the side of Sweden, but just wasn't enough. 3.75 million team score from Indonesia. Rosemi with the near FC, and Lifeline again making a recovery after missing early in the map for, I think, the third time this match. Just missing at the start and then FCing the rest. Just doing Lifeline things, I guess, for this match.
Doing, exploiting the anti-nerves method. Just get your miss out early, and then you don't have to worry about being on an FC. But, I mean, now that's a little bit scary for Sweden. Obviously, none of the picks here are super decisive, but if Indonesia can convert on their next pick here, they'll be up 4-2, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on Sweden.
Yeah, no, Oh, actually, yeah, that was the first breakpoint. Excuse me. For some reason, thought that was Indonesia's pick. But yeah, first breakpoint of the match. Going the way of Indonesia here. So yeah, as you said, if Indonesia's able to get a good pick on the board here, convert to a 4-2 lead, it's going to be very, very good for them. And I think fortunately for Indonesia, at this point in the match, I feel like they have more picks available to them at this point. You've got something like this free mod 2, even this free mod 3, I would argue, is probably pretty good for Indonesia. You've got something like the no mod 1, you've got the hidden one. I really think, like DT3, yeah, maybe that goes the way of Sweden, but that's like we were saying before, it's not your typical speed pick, and I think it's got old kind of density elements to it that are going to definitely bode well for Indonesia, so not too many options for Sweden aside from that hard rock. Indonesia, on the other hand, they've got hella options, and they're going to go for the free mod 2. Yeah,
free mod 2 was a map I mentioned earlier on as being the remaining low AR map of the pool. AR 8.7, CS 5.2. I do think Indonesia does have enough good players where at least one of them should be pretty comfortable on the Precision Hard Rock, and then their low AR comfort players can just be at home. And Sweden will either be in a situation where they need to field players who aren't super comfortable in the low AR, or they need to overmod Hard Rock, which on a map like this is just something you don't really want to do if you can avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be overmodding Hard Rock at what? CS about 6.8-ish?
Yeah.
Pretty tough to definitely overmod Hard Rock, but I mean, we were talking about this on Free Mod 1, and hey, we saw like 38 mods on the board, so...
Yeah.
We'll see if anyone dares to overmod something like this. It is at an AR 8.7, so not quite as low AR as something like the Hidden 2 or something like the low AR map out of qualifiers, which I think was 7.5 or something. So a bit more comfortable for the players on those no mods and those hiddens, especially for the side of Sweden, who are not favored on the low AR. But we'll have to see if it's going to be enough of a boost in that approach rate to really benefit them. I think Indonesia definitely still going to be favored going forward in this one.
And the favorite pick is best for them here, since it can lead to a nice 4-2 point lead. But, you know, so far in this matchup, like, honestly, anything can happen here. We have Scylla, likely will be playing the Hidden once again. I'll be very surprised if I see a double Hidden from Scylla and Lightning Fox, just because, yeah, I mean, the last one was 8 or 9, but 8.7 with some of these really awkward patterns, surely. And then most likely Andros, expect to see in the Hard Rock.
Yeah, I would think Andros as well, but it's actually going to be Scylla on that Hard Rock. So, actually, a slight overmod from Indonesia here. They've got the double Hard Rock on Lifeline and that noob guy. Not the team I expected to have the double Hard Rock, I will say. I think I would have expected Sweden to have the double Hard Rock to avoid having to force players into that low AR, but actually going to be Indonesia alongside Dido on the Hidden, Fuma on the Nomad, and Sweden just Scylla on that hard Rock like I mentioned, and Lightning Fox on the Hidden. So slight mod advantage for Indonesia on their own pick. So I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm sure they feel comfortable with this double Hard Rock. See if it pans out for them. This one is quite short.
The double Hard Rock is interesting, especially because they did ban the Hard Rock too. But it might be just a case where they have two really good precision players and the third and fourth don't feel as good. But we do see Fuma, that noob guy, both dropping Trumpetino as well. And as you mentioned, this is a super short map, so misses here already super, super important. Lifeline! That's 3 FCs gone from Indonesia. It's just Dido left on the Hidden. You know, Sweden is looking to get their breakpoint back.
Yeah, I mean, a collapse early on from Indonesia, and like I said, this map is only a minute 50 long, so that's going to be detrimental hugely for Indonesia. We're already in the second half of this map. If you haven't been counting, we're already 1/3 of the map remaining, and Sweden has 3 FCs intact and a huge recovery from Trumpetino. 260 combo in a map this short is a lot of combo. I think this is already done, Morty.
I think there's just so little time left for Indonesia, and Sweden just has so much combo. I think even a 3-way miss on these FCs would do it, but Sweden looking so good on this pick. Such a reversal from the DT1 loss. And Dido, that's all FCs gone from Indonesia. Lifeline breaking again. This is a massive, massive breakpoint for Sweden here.
Yeah, a massive breakpoint and a statement as well. 3.53 million team score and almost 1 million score difference on this map. Now that's a statement. To break point by almost 1 million points on not a DT, by the way, so no DT multiplier. That is that's crazy from Sweden there. Hugely confident break point. 900Ks across the board, and the 670K from Trumpetino there. He's been playing very well this match as well. There to back them up. It just wasn't enough for Indonesia. Just like 600K averages. It was pretty good scores across the board, but man, these FCs.
Yeah, and maybe the double Hard Rock overmod just not the play here. It's tough as well, you know, it's CS 6.8. Like, it's so difficult to keep your nerves, especially on a short map where misses count so much. Indonesia not able to do it, but that's huge for Sweden. That puts them back in an even state, 3-3. Not much picks. I mean, we only have 2 picks remaining. One from Sweden, one from Indo, and then if we are so blessed to have the tiebreaker, we can get that. But last pick for Sweden, what did they go for here? They have, I mean, there's not really much for pure tapping left. The only tapping finger control heavy map is DT3, but we've already talked about that map. It's a little bit volatile. Other than that, though, what did they really go for here?
Yeah, I think just the Hard Rock won. I actually, usually I'm kind of like, you know, oh, there's a few picks I think they could go for that would make sense here. I think if they don't go the Hard Rock 1 here, I think it's a big mistake. I think in qualifiers, head-to-head, they crushed Indonesia on the Hard Rocks pretty considerably, and Indonesia just struggled with that double Hard Rock on the free mod too. So it just has to be Hard Rock 1, and it is going to be. And I'm glad it is, because I think it would have been a mistake really to go anything else here.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with this pick here. This was just a very good mod category for them overall. Indonesia did ban the Hard Rock too, so they are afraid of this team's Hard Rock. It's obviously a more comfortable map, CS 5.2, normal Hard Rock CS, a bit more on the mechanics side. And, you know, normally I'd be like, oh, you know, this pick should, you know, fall into some of the aim players like Lifeline and Indonesia, but we've been seeing a lot of misses from Lifeline on the aim. So Sweden, on paper, should be pretty good on this. However, with the DT1, you know, DT1 was a pretty aim-focused map, and we saw some shakiness there, so still up in the air who takes this one.
Yeah, and of course worth mentioning as well, like I was just talking about before with the qualifier head-to-heads, of course teams get 2 runs in qualifiers if you're unaware. So for the 2 Hard Rock maps in qualifiers, Sweden with 4 runs total, they did beat Indonesia on 3 of those runs total, and the 4th run, Indonesia only beat them by 200 points. 200 points, like, total. So, yeah, Sweden pretty much winning Hard Rock on all fronts out of the qualifiers. So, yeah, I mean, this pick, you'd expect Sweden to take this one home, and then it's going to be on the back of Indonesia to bring it to tiebreaker.
Definitely expected, but yes, sometimes the difference between quality maps and round of 32, anything can happen here, really. You might flub on like a techie Hard Rock one in qualifiers, but you give somebody a more standard mechanics, lower the starting a bit, having a much better time. We actually see Lifeline out for this one. It's gonna be Stixxay, Hakuya Kiori, Dito, and that noob guy for the Hard Rock one. Melwem, Scylla, Andros, and Trumpetino. Players we've been seeing quite a bit here.
Yeah, actually interesting to see Trumpetino in for like almost every map, because I think he didn't play all that many maps in qualifiers. And just been playing really well this match, I guess, coming in for a lot of different maps. Dito been performing very well as well for Indonesia. Good to see Dito in for this one. Lifeline, I guess, just not feeling the aim today. I'm not sure. Was finding a lot of those early misses, so stepping out for this Hard Rock 1, putting in that noob guy, I think, or Stixxay coming in. There's a couple players that came in here for Indonesia.
Yeah, indeed, and I mean, actually, maybe a fair substitute. Scylla actually gonna be the first to break. Probably one of the players you'd least expect to miss here. But Lifeline did have some struggles in the Hard Rock qualifiers, so honestly, probably a very fair substitution, and that could lead to their score rising. So far, slight early lead for Indonesia.
Yeah, very early lead here for Indonesia, as that noob guy actually is gonna find a break. And there goes Stixxay as well, so that's 2 breaks for Indonesia now. Scylla making that recovery with the 3-way still intact for Sweden, so early days here, Sweden looking much more comfortable as they approach the second third of this map. But there goes Trumpetino to find a break, 2 breaks actually, but the other 2 players for Sweden holding on strong. 2 FCs to 2 now, and 1 recovery to 2 small recoveries on the side of Indonesia, so combos pretty even across the board here.
Yeah, it's pretty much that even. Scylla is pretty much being matched by Stixxay. But Andros breaking at the halfway point. The worst place to miss on a map this short as well. It's just Melwem as the last FC, and now with that break, it should start leaning over to Indo as Stixxay loses a recovery, but it's not a full combo. Dito, though!
Oh, Dito!
Massive miss. It's just Hakuya Kiori. Stixxay losing another miss, and now don't look at Stixxay's accuracy. Now it's going to be in favor of Sweden going into the last third of the map. Can they do it here? It's their last pick.
Ah, Dito kicking himself with the smoke there. Definitely not going to be too happy with himself finding that miss. Crucial moment. But it is Hakuya Kiori to try and hold the fort down for Indonesia, as well as that noob guy, who's managed to make a pretty solid recovery, but it's not going to hold a candle to these big combos from Sweden. Melwem on the FC, Scylla on the reverse choke, and Trumpetino and Andros both with combos that are not worth scoffing at. They are building this lead fast. 270k difference now, and there's just a sliver of the map remaining. I think Sweden have gone ahead and done it on this Hard Rock 1.
The nerves were there, but Sweden were able to surmount them. Scylla with that early break, but not letting it phase him at all. Melwem with a very nice full combo here. Scylla with a nice recovery. And just a really good team performance overall. Indonesia, unfortunately, having 2 S ranks. That noob guy and Dito, both on 700k S ranks. That is heartbreaking for them as they go into the last pick of this matchup. Are we going to see a tiebreaker, or is Sweden going to end it here?
These accuracies, man, from Melwem and Scylla. 6 100s from Melwem, 3 100s and 150 from Scylla. Very, very good accuracies. Way higher than anyone else in this lobby on that Hard Rock map. So, very strong performance from the Swedes on that one. And, I mean, it could have been a breakpoint. The opportunity was there, like you were saying, multiple S ranks. Just wasn't to be for Indonesia. 1 breakpoint each for these teams so far in this match, and well, Indonesia, they cannot afford to drop a breakpoint here. Can we see the first tiebreaker of the weekend? An O2 original on that TB, a lot of work going into that one. It was an absolute banger and a joy to watch, so I do hope we see it, honestly.
I'm on my hands and knees. I'm praying. I just want to see the tiebreaker juice. But it's going to be up to Indonesia and Sweden to see if that will happen. And Indo is in a little bit of a situation where there's not too many picks left. Obviously, they were favored on Hidden in the head-to-head, but this type of Hidden, I think, suits Scylla specifically so well. And it suits the tech strength of Sweden. Sweden did pretty well on tech, and this is a techie Hidden. This isn't like the Hidden 1 in Qualies, which is more of an alt map. So, I don't know if they want to go for it. They go for free mod 3. They've just been picking all the free mods, and they picked the last one. They weren't phased by the free mod 2 loss. They go into the alt free mod here.
Yeah, going into this ulti-styled free mod, very big circles on this one, so the Hard Rock Comfort for Sweden, not really going to be an option. You can throw Hard Rock on this, of course, but you're not really going to have small circles. I don't think anyone on Indo is going to struggle with Hard Rock on it, necessarily, because of the fact that the circles are smaller. Still very big circles, so, this... I don't know if this is really how solid of a pick this is. I actually don't remember who won the No Mod 3 between these two teams.
No Mod 3 was Indo. That was the one where Sweden lost a lot of combos at the very end, and Indo held on.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Indo actually winning the No Mod 3, going for another sort of ulti-styled pick. This one's very interesting. It's sort of got elements of flow, lots of ult, as I mentioned, some finger control, a bit of a hybrid map. And those big circles, as I mentioned, so I wouldn't be surprised to see overmods on Hard Rock specifically on either side here. The Hidden overmod, on the other hand, I think this is one of those cases where Hidden as a sole mod is probably harder on this map, so I wouldn't expect to see a Hidden overmod, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Hidden, AR 9.2, it's 155, but it plays more like 310, so very, very dense. Now, it's interesting the circle size on Hard Rock, because although the circles are still relatively big, because of the nature of these patterns that have, it's like Flowing that has decent gaps, when you do add the Hard Rock, it makes the gaps a lot bigger, so you have to be a lot more precise with the Flow aim. So still definitely a challenge on the Hard Rock, but I would agree, I'd be very surprised to see Hidden overmods, but I mean, we saw Lightning Fox, Scylla take the Hidden overmod earlier on, so the same thing on Indonesia, so it might happen. And it does.
Wow, we're actually going to see a double Hidden from Sweden, yeah, as you said. I mean, it's still just surprising, but there it is. They've got the double Hidden, no Hard Rock overmods, which, I mean, as you mentioned, yeah, it's not particularly the Hard Rock element that makes it harder, it's just like the mechanics of the map get harder with Hard Rock sort of thing.
Yeah.
The spacing on some of those flowy patterns, but here we go. It is going to be just the extra Hidden for Sweden. No other overmods to speak of as we get into potentially the last map of the match, but fingers crossed we see a tiebreaker here. Lightning Fox with the early miss and Andros with the early miss. They want to see the tiebreaker, I guess, as Indo held onto the four-way out of the intro.
A very long map, though, over 4 minutes. Those early breaks aren't going to surmount too much. I mean, if anything, you might play the, miss early, lower nerves game. Lifeline having some axe struggles, but should recover as the map goes on. And yeah, just an early, relatively solid start for both teams.
Yeah, such a long map, so these combo drops early on shouldn't matter too much, but that one from Lightning Fox starting to get a little bit deeper into the map, 300 combo in, so could end up making a difference. Andros recovering nicely, only 100 combo behind as we move into this first Ki, and you're going to start to see some of the difficult patterns of the map coming in here. These flow space patterns, especially on the Hard Rock, and the cut patterns, and it's a collapse for Sweden. Scylla's down, Lightning Fox is down, Andros is down, and Melwim is down. The four-way reset for Sweden, and Indonesia refused to break out of the first Ki.
Man, Indonesia, they want this TB. Look at these accuracies. 299.33s on Dito, that new guy, Haku Kiori, playing well. Lifeline, a little bit on low axe side, but still holding on to that Hard Rock FC. I mean, the lead Indonesia has on combo is so massive here. To lose this lead and to lose the combo advantage is going to take a monumental catastrophe that I just cannot see happening.
I would say the same. I could not see it happening, however, I believe this is the longest map in the pool, aside from the TB. It's 4.5 minutes, so there's still a lot of time left for mistakes to happen and for combo to be built up from Sweden, but you would like to think Indonesia are as close to sealing this one as they can possibly be as they hold onto this four-way, and with that miss from Lightning Fox as well, it definitely is going to bode well for Indonesia into the second Ki. These difficult flow patterns, these cut doubles coming out, and Indonesia just don't want to miss on it. They want the TB more than anything right now. 4 FCs, everyone's on 1k combo, boy.
This is this is easily maybe the best performance from Indonesia so far. I mean, this four-way is just excellent on a map that's so hard to be consistent on as well. So long, so many opportunities to find the miss. Indonesia is not letting it happen, carrying on that four-way. And I mean, at this point, I think the pick is pretty much over with Andros and Lightning Fox on very little recoveries. It's just Syl and Melon with any combo. But even if Indonesia four-way missed that 900 score lead that they are falling behind on, will this not be doable?
Nah, Indonesia wouldn't. Oh, and they are going to be filled with joy at that break as they look on over to the scoreboard and see they are holding a four-way against 1FC. And they're going to know the tiebreaker is in tow here. Quarter of the map remaining. Indonesia, a phenomenal performance. One more diff spiky section here. No one wants to break, refusing to find misses. These Indonesians are going crazy on the free mod 3. Hitting the squares, everyone hit them.
There's just no way this four-way happens. I'm trying to anti-grid. Surely somebody will break. Somebody has to break. There's no way. Lifeline on the Hard Rock, but still really well fought. I mean, Hard Rock on this map, brutal. That noob guy dropping as well. It's just Dido and Hakukiori, but still a phenomenal team score from Indonesia. And they, with this performance, will bless us with a TB, the first of the weekend, round of 32.
Lifeline with the miss there, but it was on the Hard Rock, to be fair. Noob guy following it up as well anyways, so even if Lifeline were to hold, Noob guy also found the drop, and that's a double FC from Indonesia. No FCs on the side of Sweden. Silla almost there with the 3 miss, near 800k score, but yeah, just pure and utter dominance from Indonesia on that free mod 3. Probably one of the top scores of the weekend on that free mod 3, I would say. Possibly the best one so far. Not 100% on that, but it's got to be at least top 3, that's for sure. So crazy stuff from Indonesia, and here we go, everybody. Tiebreaker, the first one of the weekend. We are going to be seeing this Osu original, man. I am hyped for this.
Oh man, it's always, a shame if a weekend goes by and we don't get to see an original song, played with stakes, but we fortunately do get to see it. And Indonesia's coming into this one with the momentum of an absolutely destructively won pick, won by over 1.4 mil. Unfortunately for them, this is a very different skill set. This is basically just pure mechanics. You got a lot of aim, you got some streams. This is a mechanics lover's dream here. And I think it's going to be something both teams should be pretty good on, so I think it's going to be a close TV here, Mavs.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be pretty close. Definitely a tiebreaker that incorporates many different skill sets, many different elements going into this map, and it's at a whopping 4 minutes 43 seconds. Pretty comfortable 197 BPM and a 7-star map here in the round of 32 on the tiebreaker. Love to see it. This map is no joke, even though it's round of 32, man. I would be impressed as hell to see an FC on this.
I mean, surely an FC on this map here would just mean your team wins. I'd be surprised that didn't just seal the deal.
Absolutely. But teams discussing their rosters. Looks like Sweden might have their 4-man ready to go. Andros, Silla, Yagako, and Melwem. All players that have been playing well this match. And Indonesia sorting out their roster here. Hakukiori, Rosemi Lovelock, Lifeline. And the final player waiting on them to join the lobby. It is going to be that noob guy. Here are your rosters. Winner bracket lives on the line for both Sweden and Indonesia. What we said was probably going to be the most hype matchup of the weekend, and here we go. We are seeing the tiebreaker for it.
The script writers have done their job. I think we're waiting on Dido to get into the lobby. I see Dido typed it a lot. I believe Dido crashed. Likely to see an invite. So, yeah, I mean, this is where nerves of steel matter. This is where clutch factor matters. And I mean, so far, Indonesia on the long maps, like the no mod 3, the free mod 3, they've done a pretty good job, but obviously that was on ult. Sweden had a pretty good time in the Hard Rock 1, so those aim mechanics doing well for them. There's aspects, and the tapping of this map as well should be in their comfort zone. There's things about this map that favors both teams, but I think at the end of the day, the team that wins is going to be the team that just wants it the most, that feels the nerves the least.
Yeah, I mean, I love tiebreakers like this. I mean, I love tiebreakers. They just incorporate so many different elements. It really does show that the better team is going to win. And I love TBs like this, man. So this should be hype. I would assume Haku will probably be stepping out for Dido, because yeah, I didn't even notice before, but there's no way Dido's not in. Best performer in qualifiers. He plays pretty much everything for this Indonesian roster except for speed, I believe. So I would be surprised not to see him in, but no, he's not in. They're actually starting. I thought they were saying to wait for Dido in the chat, but maybe he was unable to get in, or maybe they opted for him not to play. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I assumed as well. I mean, on pretty much all of the picks that Indonesia has won, Dido has been, second, first, first. Like he has been performing super, super well. But those were, more hidden-y ulti maps. We have rosters on both sides that fit into that mechanics lane. Here we go. Osu original in the first time we get to see this tiebreaker this weekend.
Here we go. We're in for a long haul. Almost 5 minutes on this one. And yeah, I mean, this one is a banger, so definitely enjoy the song.
Rosemi, the first to break the guts of A-Team here. Love those types of jumps. Lifeline breaking as well. Just that noob guy in Haku, but on a map like this, on a tiebreaker, early misses shouldn't matter too much, but they sometimes give an indication as to what's to come. Look at that flame jump. That's brutal. Lifeline missing again, but all of Sweden holding on.
7 players hitting that. And Lifeline, you almost want to think this is a boon for Lifeline, because he's been missing early and then FCing the rest of the map all match. If he does that in the tiebreaker, that's phenomenal, because he's going to have a crazy combo.
He's going to have a
ridiculous
ridiculous
the rest
combo,
of the map. Yeah. But we'll see. You can see some of these patterns already. Extremely relentless, but not phasing Sweden. However, it is going to phase Yagako, the first to fall for Sweden. Indonesia still hold on to this two-way FC, and there's Melwin. Melwin with the slider break as well. Now it's 2 FCs to 2, and this combo advantage is going to favor Indonesia with these recoveries.
It's just that easy. You can have the lead off the intro, but it's only a third of the way into the map. There's so much time left, and as you said, Indonesia has quite a good combo advantage. They basically have an extra FC between Rosemi and Lifeline. So it's just Scylla and Andros, but I think if there's any 2 players you would have the most faith on for Sweden, it's those 2 players, and they get through that section.
Yeah, some of this sort of linear, wide-spaced aim looks so brutal. Especially with OWC nerves on a tiebreaker, but not phasing anyone. The 1/3 stream catches Noob Guy and Lifeline off guard. It's just Haku for Indonesia to hold. Scylla and Andros are there, 2 of the carry players for Sweden, holding on to these FCs up against Haku, and they will take the lead. Sweden with the 2 FCs in tow. Yagako finds another break. Kiyori's gonna have to hold this FC if there's any hope for Indonesia.
Oh man, that 1/3 stream was so brutal. I cannot blame anybody for breaking on that. But it is the hopes of the team on Haku and Rosemi on a very big recovery. It's almost an FC. Scylla though and Andros both looking comfortable. But you can just miss on anything, so much anti-aim, so many awkward 1/3 patterns. Not phasing 2 FCs on Sweden for now.
Rosemi Lovelock is also there for Indonesia. A huge recovery. 1.1k combo. There goes Haku. He's down. That is a huge combo down for Indonesia. Scylla and Andros looking to run away with this one. A third of the map left. There's still time to find breaks, but there goes Lifeline again. It's all on the shoulders of Rosemi Lovelock. And I don't know if his shoulders are strong enough for this one. Scylla and Andros look like they want this match over.
And it's not just Scylla and Andros. You have Melwem, who's not too far behind Rosemi. Yagako plus Melwem kind of matches Rosemi. There goes Rosemi. Andros missing as well. And all that's left in this matchup is Scylla, the one to perform so well for the team in qualifiers in this entire match. And he's doing it once again to close this out.
The best performer for Sweden, Scylla, popping off on the tiebreaker, hitting all sorts of weird anti-aim back and forths. It doesn't matter what you throw at him. Melwem found a break in the midst of that, but Scylla is there to wrap things up for the Swedes. Nice and tight. 99.86% accuracy from Scylla here, and it's all eyes on them.
I mean, this is just a phenomenal performance. This is ice water in Scylla's veins right now. Does not feel a shred of nerves as they just go through this. And they get, please FC this.
Scylla looking to wrap up the FC on the first tiebreaker of the weekend in the round of 32, and they do it. Insane score. An FC with 4 100s on a near 5-minute 7-star tiebreaker. Almost making up half of Indonesia's total team score, just on Scylla's FC alone. Incredible score. Definitely score of the match. And the victory going to Sweden. That is a crazy performance from Scylla on the TB, and also just good scores all around, man.
Good scores all around. And, you know, we wanted a close match, Mavs. We had a lot of expectations, and we got a treat here. You know, in the end, without Scylla's FC was like, you know, instead of an FC was 500k, it would have been super close, would have been neck and neck, but that really just was the difference maker. And Sweden will move on in the bracket stage as Indonesia gets knocked down into losers bracket.
Yeah, I believe if my bracket knowledge serves me correctly, Sweden will be going up against Seed 2 next week, which should be Australia, in the round of 16. So, big matchup for them, that's for sure. We'll have to see if they can handle that one. But yeah, GG's to Sweden and commiserations to Indonesia. They fought hard and they fought well all the way to the tiebreaker, but Scylla was just an immovable object in their way on that tiebreaker, unfortunately, and there was not much that could have been done, barring an FC of their own, probably. So Indonesia moving on down to the lower bracket. And congratulations again to Sweden. Very well played, very well fought. Man, that was a great match to cast.
That was an awesome match, and Indonesia will be going up against Austria next weekend. As you mentioned, Sweden up against Australia. Those will be some great matches, but that'll be it for us from now. I think we have matches starting again in about 3 hours, I want to say.
Yes, it is going to be in 3 hours' time. So, yeah, 16 UTC, I believe?
Yep,
we're going to be seeing,
UTC.
UK versus Finland.
And after that match, we'll have plenty more afterwards. 17 UTC, we got matchups 18 UTC, 19 UTC as well. So plenty to go around. So hope to see you there. But that's it from me and Mavs for now.
Yep, I've been Mavs, this has been Vorty. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this banger of a match. We'll see you guys at 16 UTC for United Kingdom versus Finland. So be back for that one and take care.
It slipped right through my fingers. It slipped right through my fingers. You said never let me go. Drop it.